Hello guys, let's do some Romeo and Juliet Act 4. Excuse me. I've given you two YouTube versions to watch. One is that play production from the community college we've seen a couple times. And I also have the Romeo plus Juliet from 1996 movie version. I prefer the 1996 movie version, but unfortunately the scene I have access to, they've trimmed it and they've shortened it, so that's why I gave you the other one as well, so you don't miss anything important in the production and the acting. Okay, so so much has happened at this point in the play, and we're definitely in the falling action stage of the mountain. Past the climax, because the climax happened at the beginning of the previous act, with the fight between Mercutio and Tybalt. Tybalt kills Mercutio, Romeo kills Tybalt in retaliation or revenge for Mercutio. Excuse me. And then the prince banishes Romeo as his punishment. And Romeo finds that out. Romeo goes to Juliet. They have their wedding night. And he has just left for Mantua. The friar says to Romeo, go to Mantua and wait. And the friar plans to send word with Romeo's servant Balthazar. And then Romeo could theoretically still get to come home and be okay. So, now we are looking at Juliet's reaction. So, Juliet has been told by her parents that she has to marry, Paris Thursday. So, yeah. So she's already married Romeo. She's had her wedding night. And now he's gone. She asks the nurse for help, and the nurse says, basically, Romeo's not coming back. You might as well marry Paris. And so Juliet feels like her options are pretty limited. And so she's going to go to the friar and ask for help. And if the friar can't or won't help her, Juliet is prepared to die and commit suicide rather than marry Paris. Because she can't marry Paris. She's already married to Romeo. So at the opening of Act 4, Scene 1, poor Juliet is running in to ask the friar for help, and who happens to be there but Paris? I have no problem with Paris. I think Paris is probably a pretty darn nice guy, and we actually get more evidence throughout the play that he is a nice guy, and I also think we have a lot of evidence that he really loves Juliet as much as he can with knowing her as little as he does. So I don't blame Paris. Like, Paris is just caught up into this rolling ball of action just like everybody else. He doesn't really do anything wrong. So Paris is at Friar Lawrence's, and the question is, why is Paris at Friar Lawrence's? Because he has a wedding to plan for, because the wedding is supposed to happen on Thursday. So Friar Lawrence knows this wedding can't happen on Thursday because Friar Lawrence performed the wedding ceremony of Romeo and Juliet yesterday. Okay, so Paris is asking Friar Lawrence to perform the ceremony, and Paris tells Friar Lawrence that the reason that Juliet's family is like rushing the ceremony is because Juliet's so upset that they think it will cheer her up to have some good things to celebrate. But, of course, we know that, again, this is dramatic irony. Juliet's not upset about Tybalt. She's upset because Romeo's been banished. So having her marry Paris is not going to help that situation. It's only going to make it worse. Okay, so Paris is asking Friar Lawrence about the ceremony on page 1. And Juliet comes in. Poor Juliet. Okay. And then Paris basically asked Juliet to admit to the friar that she loves Paris. And Juliet has some lines in here on page 2 that, again, are like answering without answering, just like she did with her parents in a different scene. Okay. And then Julia asked the friar at the bottom of page 2, are you available for my confession, or do I need to come back later? And Friar Lawrence on page 3 says, my leisure serves me, pensive daughter, now. So now is fine. And they send Paris away. And Paris says, Julia, on Thursday early will I rouse thee. Ye. Till then, adieu, and keep this holy kiss. And kisses her on her cheek. It's a holy kiss, so it's not a big smackaroonie on the lips. Okay, and then Paris finally leaves halfway through page 3. In the 1996 movie version, Juliet says that she is prepared to kill herself, and she pulls a gun. Of course, they didn't have guns, or they wouldn't have used guns, so she actually had a knife, which you're going to see in the play version. So Juliet asks the friar, like, don't tell me I'm supposed to marry Paris unless you have some help you can offer. And if you can't offer your help, then trying to find the exact line. Twixt my extremes and me this bloody knife shall play the umpire, arbitrating that which the commission of thy years and art could to no issue of true honor bring. Be not so long to speak, I long to die. If what thou speakest, speak not of remedy. So Juliet will stab herself if the friar can't offer some help and some advice, like a way to get out of this marriage to Paris. Okay. Friar Lawrence has this idea, and this is what you're missing from the movie version, which is why I gave you the other version. Sorry, I'm not getting to the point very well today. Friar Lawrence says, I do spy a kind of hope, which craves as desperate an execution as that is desperate which we would prevent. If rather than to marry County Paris, thou hast the strength of will to slay thyself, then it is likely thou wilt undertake a thing like death to chide away this shame, that copest with death himself to escape from it. And if thou darest, I'll give thee remedy. So Friar Lawrence has an idea, but it's a desperate idea, and it's a high-risk idea, and Juliet has to be very brave to undertake it. He says that it is a thing like death. So Juliet wants to prove to the friar that she is willing to take this risk. We're on page 4. Juliet says, "Oh, bid me leap rather than marry Paris from off the battlements of yonder tower, or walk in thievish waves, or bid me lurk where serpents are, chain me with roaring bears, or shut me nightly in a charnel house, or covered quite with dead men's rattling bones, with reeky shanks and yellow chapless skulls. Or bid me go into a new-made grave, and hide me with a deaf man in his shroud. Things that, to hear them told, have made me tremble, and I will do it without fear or doubt, to live an unstained wife to my true love, sweet love." I am not going to tell you exactly what all those things mean, because you can read the translation on the right-hand side, but she is desperate. Like, she will do things she would have never even thought she was capable of, if it means that she can remain true to Romeo and not have to marry Paris. So Friar Lawrence tells us his plan. Hold then. So, just a second. Go home. Be merry. Give consent to marry Paris. Wednesday is tomorrow, so he's reminding us today is Tuesday. Tomorrow night, look that thou lie alone. Let not the nurse lie with thee in thy chamber. Take thou this, and he shows her a little vial. Being then in bed, and this distilled liquor drink thou off. When presently thou through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor, for no pulse shall keep his native progress, but surcease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou livest. The roses in thy lips and cheeks shall fade to paly ashes. Thy eyes' windows fall, like death when he shuts up the day of life. Each part deprived of supple government shall, stiff and stark and cold, appear like death. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunken death, thou shalt continue 42 hours. So it's 42 hours, almost 2 days. She's going to be in this coma-like state. And the coma is going to be so deep that it's going to appear as if she has died. Like, they're not going to be able to see that she is breathing. They're not going to be able to detect a heartbeat. Her body's going to be stiff and cold. Like, it's going to look like she's dead. And they're going to think she's dead. And they're going to bury her. Now when the bridegroom in the morning comes to rouse thee from thy bed, there thou art dead. Of course, not dead, in a coma. Then, as the matter of our country is, in thy best robes uncovered on the bier, thou shalt be borne to that same ancient vault where all the kindreds of the Capulets lie. In the meantime, against thou shalt awake. So here's the plan for Juliet. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, she's going to take the vial of medicine. She's going to go into a coma. When Paris comes on Thursday morning to collect her for the wedding ceremony, she's going to be dead. Again, not dead, in a coma. And they will take her and put her in the vault where the Capulets lie. So she's going to be buried, not underground, in a vault like a cave. She's going to be buried. She's going to remain in this coma for 42 hours, almost 2 days. And Friar says, in the meantime, against thou shalt awake, shall Romeo by my letters know our drift, and hither how shall he come? And he and I will watch thy wakening, and that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua. And this shall free thee of this present shame, if no inconstant toy nor womanish fear abate thy valor in acting it. So the friar is going to send word, a letter to Romeo, of what's happened, and the friar's going to ask Romeo to come back to Verona, get Juliet, and then Juliet and Romeo will go live in Mantua. This is the plan. And he says, only if you're brave enough. And Juliet says, give me. Oh, tell me not of fear, on page 5. Like, I'm not afraid. Don't talk to me about fear. Okay, and then Friar Lawrence says, hold, get you gone, be strong and prosperous in this resolve. I'll send a friar with speed to Mantua with my letters to thy lord. Juliet says, love, give me strength, and strength shall help afford. Farewell, dear father. So that's the plan. Friar Lawrence is going to send a letter, but he's not going to send it with Balthazar. He's going to send it with another friar that he knows, like another priest. And this priest is going to give the letter to Romeo, deliver the letter to Romeo. Again, it's Tuesday. Juliet's supposed to take the potion Wednesday night, and then they'll bury her Thursday morning, and she'll be there until like 2 days from Wednesday. So like Friday night, she'll be there and she'll wake up. And the idea is Romeo will be there to get her and take her with him to Mantua. And then the friar will assumedly make some arrangements, tell the families, work it all out, and then they'll come back eventually. So that's the plan. It is tragedy, so things don't always go the way we would hope. This is going to wrap up your Act 4, Scene 1, and I'll post some questions, and I'll see you on the next one. Guys, have a good one. Take care. Bye.